Welcome back to episode 2 of choosing your first class in Diablo 4. My name is Versatility. Today we are taking a look at the Barbarian. Yes, the melee class, the one that hits like a truck and can tank all the shots in the game. Today's video is going to be shorter than the other ones. We are going to take this format, I think, for the next 4 classes also, just to make sure that everything you get is really straight to the point. There's a lot of videos on YouTube right now about classes, builds, and things like that, so I'm gonna really keep it close for you guys. Game is coming out in 6 days. Everybody's gonna have a lot of fun. There's no one way to actually play this game, so it's just a matter of general information that we are giving. It's not a step-by-step guide on anything. Let's get started, but first, don't forget to click the subscribe button. It is a free and fantastic way to help this channel, and on top of that, you get a chance to win a copy of Diablo 4 when it comes out on June 1st. Like, comment, it also helps a lot. Let's get it. Alright, what's really fun about the Barbarian is really its power fantasy. You can just log in, get into the game, and slash your way through hordes of enemies. The Barbarian has its arsenal system, which use bludgeoning weapons, dual wield weapon 1 and 2, and a slashing weapon, which basically gives you the opportunity to have 4 different legendary weapons in your weapon slots, which is a big advantage. 4 times the legendary means 4 times the affixes you can get. You might even be able to get uniques in there. So the more legendary affixes that you have, the best the options of your build can be too. Once again, I just want to reiterate that Diablo 4 is going to be a game that you will want to discover and play by yourself. Yes, there's a lot of guides in there, and I absolutely recommend you to take a look at them, but they are not mandatory. I repeat, it is not mandatory. If you want to have fun, do a little bit of build crafting, theory crafting, it's there for that. That's the beauty of these games. They've been there for a long time, but at the same time, if you want to go all in and just choose one of the builds that are already in there on YouTube or on Max Roll, go ahead, because it's gonna give you the opportunity to just go ahead and have fun with it without having to think about all of these. His expertise system is also something very unique to the Barbarian, where the more you use one kind of weapon, the more damage and the more effect you're gonna get with one of them. For example, if you use one-handed axe expertise, where every time you use a skill that uses a one-handed axe in your one-handed dual-wielding weapons, it's going to increase the capacity of having critical strike chance against injured enemies. And the more you use the one-handed axe, the more ranks you get, up until I think level or rank 10, where you get the maximum amount. There is 7 different expertise you can get, going from two-handed sword expertise to a one-handed mace, going to two-handed axe expertise. Depending on the weapon and the playstyle that you have, you will get different results, which is also a very fun and fantastic way to use a class. What I absolutely love about the skill tree for the Barbarian is the fact that you have so many different options. You can play the Barb as a support with their battle cries like Rallying Cry and War Cry, which is going to boost your damage and your resource management on top of your movement speed also. You can also choose to go on a full Thorns build or even a Bleed build, which is also very good. And on top of that, you get a slew of different movement abilities like Charge and Leap. The versatility of the Barb is really the one thing that made me the most inclined to play that class. On top of that, the passive abilities that he has for Thorns and for damage reduction is quite phenomenal. Another advantage of the Barbarian is the fact that it uses the Fortify mechanic in their builds and in their legendary aspects really easily, which is really great for survivability and tanking damage. The Barb also has one of the craziest skills at the end of the tree called Unbridled Rage, where your core skill is going to deal 135% increased damage, but at the cost of 100% more fury, which is really good because there is a lot of way to get your fury back. Let's go and take a look at its Paragon Board, because it's really one of the most interesting one that I've seen so far. What I find really interesting about the Paragon Board for the Barbarian is the number of normal strength tiles that they have, but on top of that, in the magic glyphs that we have to use in some of the boards that we see, like this one here, the rare glyphs that we're going to get is actually really great in synergy for the builds that we talked about a little bit earlier on. So things like Fury Regeneration, something with Fortify, or even the Arsenal system, where they're going to tell you for the X amount of strength that you have in a specific quadrant, you are going to get 3 Fury for every kill of an enemy, plus 1.5% increased damage for every 5 strength in that glyph, which is really great in my opinion. I love how they made this. And after the starting board, the legendary nodes are also really nice, like this one here, where swapping weapons grants 3 fury. And as we've seen earlier with the skill that gives us 135% increased damage, we will need to use way more fury because it costs 100% more fury. But with these legendary nodes and with the rare glyphs, we'll be able to mitigate and offset the fury regeneration on top of the war cry that gives us up to 64% increased generation of fury. While the Barbarian is undoubtedly a powerful class in Diablo 4, there is some potential drawbacks. For example, compared to other classes like the Sorceress or the Rogue, the Barbarian lacks range attack options. Additionally, while the Barbarian's toughness allows him to survive in melee combat, he may struggle against enemies with powerful range attack or spells, and he is really not that great against really mobile bosses or enemies because he needs to close the gap. There is, yes, some skills that are there to be able to help you, like leap, but it is on a cooldown and you always need to chase the actual enemies, which was one of the worst pain points that I had when playing the Barbarian in the betas. The fury generation mechanic also can be somewhat of a con if you use it in a certain way. Every time you're going to start a battle, your fury is likely going to be empty and you need to fill it up to be able to dish out lots of damage. So this is also something you need to consider if you are playing the Barb. To finish on a good note, I just want to talk about the berserking stages that the Barbarian can get from its skills and from its passives and even from its legendary aspects. In my opinion, it's one of the best stages in the game, which will grant you 25% increased damage and 15% increased movement speed. This effect can last up to 5 seconds and can always be reused all the time if you have the good skill set to be able to get your berserking stack up and keep it up for a really long time. It is really good. That's it for me, everyone. Let me know in the comments which class will you choose as your first in Diablo 4 when it comes out. And if you like this kind of content, please leave a like and a comment, and also subscribe for a chance to win a copy of Diablo 4 when it comes out. Also, it is a fair and fantastic way to help this channel. Peace!